Welcome to In the Hot Seat with the Tenney Group. I'm Spencer Tenney. It's good to be with you. I have an excellent guest today. Adam Blanchard, CEO of Double Diamond Transport out of Texas, is here with us. Adam, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Spencer. I'm excited to talk to you today and speak with your listeners. I love your show and excited to talk with you about the issues that are important to you and your listeners.
And I want to talk about your issues, specifically your race for state representative in Texas. So why don't we just take 30 seconds, tell us a little bit about just your business and also about the upcoming campaign for state representative.
Sure. So, a little background about me. I practiced law for about 4 or 5 years. Dad's an attorney and my grandfather was an attorney. So I was just trying to get in the courtroom and, not many cases are tried these days. And I was practicing in Lubbock, Texas, and met a really good friend through a Bible study. And he worked for a trucking company there, and we just became really good friends. And one night we were out, and we just decided we'd start us a trucking company. And so in 2014, we started this in our kitchen, and one truck, one trailer, and got our first truck on the road July 1st of 2014. And over the years between now and then, we run about 75 trucks and 200 trailers now, and just been blessed to have a great group around us. We started a freight brokerage after our trucking company as well, and just been incredibly involved in our industry specifically. When I was younger, my dad told me, he said, "Son, to be successful, you need to be involved in your community and in your industry." And I've just done that over the years through leadership roles with the Texas Trucking Association, but also with the American Trucking Association truckload carriers. And so here we sit, and never really planned to run for office. I was real involved in our lawsuit abuse reform efforts last session in Austin with House Bill 19. I'm sure it's none of your listeners or you or any stranger to the litigation environment we're living in. And with my background and experience as not only an attorney, but a trucking company owner, I just felt like, you got to lead from the front. I'm chairman of the Emerging Leaders Council for the Texas Trucking Association and sit on their board. And so when that effort came up last session in Austin, just jumped in head first, helped with the bill drafting, testified in front of the House and Senate committees on the bill, got bipartisan support, and we were very fortunate to build a great team. And through hard work, we got that bill passed, and we're looking to continue to keep that going here in Texas.
Well, I love it. And I was so excited when you told me that you were running, because while you were working on that bill, you were highly influential. And of course, through social media, there was, kudos to the Texas Trucking Association for the wonderful campaign they did to get that message out. And like I said, it's such a natural progression for you to kind of step into this leadership role. So let's talk about the issues. What are the things, the issues that you're passionate about, that you'll be addressing if elected as state representative?
Well, Spencer, it's funny. There's nobody in trucking in the state legislature in Texas, and as you and I both know, to a large degree, good conservative policy comes out of Texas, and just kind of like we unfortunately seem to see bad policy coming out of California. And after last session, it just became very apparent to me that we need more business owners in office, and it's my generation's turn to step up. And my plan was really never to run, Spencer. What I planned on doing was coming back to San Antonio, which is in Bexar County, Texas, and I wanted to start a PAC with about 10 or 12 young business owners and executives. We were going to focus on city, county, and state elections here. Christina Aldrete with the North Chamber of Commerce, which is a fantastic chamber here, is starting the Civic Leadership Academy, which is designed to coach people up on how to run. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity for us to combine both of those efforts to start identifying great candidates to run. And next thing you know, Lyle Larson, who's the current state representative in House District 122, is expected not to run. And so I started getting phone calls, and it had to talk to my wife about it and prayed about it. And, the Lord's given me a certain skill set, and I felt like I needed to step up and serve not only my community here in San Antonio, but also the state of Texas and our industry. And so went back and said, look, we're in, and talked to Lyle Larson early on in the process. And then next thing you know, it's just full steam ahead. And so, what we're focused on, Spencer, in this race are, jobs, education, and security. I mean, there is no question that we have a jobs crisis in the United States. We've got a jobs crisis in Texas and in House District 122. And I think that there's no better group of people than our folks in our industry to start stepping up and getting involved on solving these. I mean, the equation for a growing economy and really for our industry too is, we got to have low taxes. We have to have a regulatory environment that encourages, not discourages businesses. We've got to focus on road and highway infrastructure. We've got to have, education's hugely important. We need more vocational programs, I think, back in our schools. I'm part of the No Child Left Behind era, and, not everybody wants to go to college or frankly needs to go to college. And so I think making more students job ready coming out of high school is hugely important. Security is very important. We've got to have safe neighborhoods, and here in Texas, we've got a huge problem at our border with the border crisis going on. So that's incredibly important to this community. But, those are the things we're focusing on. But, I think there's even more to that, Spencer, because, our industry has so many great leaders. And I think that everybody out there needs to start thinking about how do we get more people in our industry involved. I talked to John Esparza after the last session. I said, John, y'all have done an incredible job of this Emerging Leaders Council. They've had that program for 10 or 12 years. I'm the current chairman. And I said, we've got a whole pipeline of great candidates throughout the entire state. And I said, look, we just, had a huge victory with lawsuit abuse reform, with Texans for Lawsuit Reform here in Texas, which is an incredible group that stays very involved politically. And I said, let's go start identifying races within the leadership of our organization and get those people engaged and active. And so I'm certainly in my race right now to win it, to serve my community in San Antonio. But I think that there is more to this equation, Spencer, on others in the industry getting involved and getting active. And we need more people stepping up and running. My goal is to have a trucking caucus in Austin, and I think every state in the country should have that same goal.
I think that's a goal worth having there. So let's talk about that. You and I, Adam, we talked about the opportunities that are right in front of us, having trucking logistics professionals having a seat at the table. So what's the message? Yes, you have two messages here. One, you're trying to get elected. But number two, as we've openly talked about, you're trying to inspire other younger trucking professionals to step in and serve. So what's the message that you would want to send to our industry peers out there who may be beginning to think about serving in this capacity?
Yeah, thinking to serve or us calling them to serve. That's great leaders a lot of times are sought after. And, Spencer, over the years, I've spent a lot of time advocating for our industry at the state and federal level. And as you know, and I know, this is a tough business. It's 24 hours a day. And, but breaking away and taking those opportunities to get involved in our industry, both through state associations as well as like the American Trucking Association and truckload carriers, I think is incredibly important. A lot of people feel like their voice, a singular voice can't be heard, but that's not true with House Bill 19. Nobody thought we could get that bill passed. The trial lawyers certainly underestimated us. Fortunately, because they didn't realize that all we have is grit in our industry. And, we went and got that bill passed. And, I think that each of us, we're stewards while we're here. And we need to leave this better than we received it, both in our communities and our industry. And I think that we need to start identifying those leaders within our industry and start focusing on getting them in positions, in leadership positions. And that's in the state and federal level. I'm focused here in Texas. But there's others that I think would be in a great position to look at it federally. And, with me running, one of the reasons that I'm really excited about this opportunity is because now I kind of understand the process. I'm in the trenches right now. It's like starting Double Diamond all over again and, kind of developing that playbook, so to speak. And I think we can use this to start making a real positive impact throughout the country. And I think that, those that are out there and listening, let's get active, let's get involved, and let's start getting ourselves into leadership positions, because as you and I know, our industry always seems to be constantly under attack, whether it's lawsuit abuse reform or vehicle mileage tax regulatory issues. I mean, there's so many things out there, and we can go knock on doors at the state and federal level to advocate for our industry. But what there's no better way to do that than us actually being in office and affecting positive change, because when we're doing that at the state and federal level, advocating, a lot of it's educational. And if we had those experts already in office, then I think we can really make a lot of impact on our economy throughout the country, because everything you touch has been on a truck, Spencer. You know that, and I know that. And, let's keep moving America forward with some strong leadership from our industry.
So let me back up here for a second. I love all these things that we're talking about here. So I want to put the focus back on you for a second. So a couple of themes that I've heard so far in this conversation. We talked about faith. We talked about your Bible study. You talk about leadership, stewardship. Where do these influences come from as part of you being who you are today? Who are some of the people that you would point to that have had great influence in your life?
Well, I grew up with incredible parents. I mean, I grew up in very much a faith-based household, and, my bedrock has always been my faith. And, my father has always been a huge mentor to me. My wife is wonderful. I way outkicked my coverage with her. I'll tell you, Spencer, over the last 6 or 7 years, starting these, 3 companies from the ground up, I just was a lot of days you walk in your front door and feel defeated. And my wife has always been there every day. And when I walk through that front door, she tells me that she loves me and she's proud of me, and what a blessing to have her. And, her father's been a huge mentor to me in business, and, just surrounding yourself with great people. And our industry has, just an incredible group of people and leaders that I've learned from. And I think that, as time evolves and we develop, that, you start getting these core tenets that are just part of you. This industry, I think, develops each of us too, with that grit and determination. And I think all of which are great characteristics for people that have a heart for service in their community to get out there and serve. And that's just kind of where I am in my life. And, at the end of the day, Spencer, you can't take this with you when you're gone. And that was really a lot of what Ariel and I talked about as we, thought about whether or not to run is, look, we can't take this with us. I think that the Lord puts you in a certain place, and when he puts you there, you need to step up and serve. And that's what we're here to do. And something I think that we can start doing throughout the entire country with a lot of our leaders in this industry.
Well, I'm already getting a little inspired. Now, you said something earlier. I want to back up. So tell me about the moment, because you were kind of on the search committee to evaluate possible candidates. Something happened, and then you end up being the candidate. So tell me about what happened there, where you're part of the search process and then you get kind of roped into actually being the candidate. What happened there?
Well, I've got a lot of great friends here in the community, and, they're to me, I've never been one. I was not, frankly, as we started evaluating this, I'm not here looking for that title or that position or that power. And I think that's, a part of the problem with some of the folks that, that we get frustrated with in office is they're not in it for the right reasons. I'm in this to serve. And so started calling around, it was like, look, who's out there? Who's the best person for this seat? And I think that's where the conversation always needs to start. And, there were some really good people out there. There was another person, Frank, actually, to begin with, it was going to run, Spencer. And, he just had some circumstances in his personal life that he just felt like he wasn't in a position to run. So he called me and said, Adam, I'm out, and I think you should run. And that's kind of how the whole process started. And, I'm an attorney and a business owner. They'd seen what I'd done last session on House Bill 19. That was a really tough bill. With the drafting of it, I helped testify in front of the House and Senate. The hardest vote we had on that bill was the House floor, the first vote there. And we got 10 Democrats to vote for this bill. And it was a very partisan bill. And 6 of those were from San Antonio. And that was just a product of us working together. I think that all of us out there are yearning for some reconciliation and some unity within government. And I think there's a lot of things we can work on together. And I learned a lot about that process last session. And I think that's how you affect really meaningful change and good policy. And so, it was really through that process. I said, look, I'm happy to step up and serve, and I'm going to serve as long as I'm effective for us, and then I'm going to go back to work. And I think the more business owners that you get in office, the more you have that mentality, and I think the more practical approach you have to focusing on the operational needs of our communities and our economies and our states.
So, one wild card question, and then I want to ask you how folks that want to get behind you and support. We'll talk about that. But what I'm interested in, Adam, being in Texas, you're representing Texas. For those that are watching this that are outside of Texas, what is the number one Texas barbecue joint that they must go to if they came to support an Adam for Texas event and they wanted to stop in and have some barbecue? Where would they need to go?
Well, Spencer, I'm going to throw back a wild card answer. About a year ago, my safety director loves to barbecue. So we bought a big cooker for our company, actually, that we take around to events throughout the city. And in fact, the first time that we cooked, we were in the top 3 on Connor's ribs. So I'd give you a place to go, but I think if everybody's going to come down, we're just going to fire up our cooker, and we'll just cook for everybody and throw some briskets and some ribs on there. And Connor Sweetberg's my safety director, has been with us since the very beginning, and I got to say, there's nobody better that I've met out there that can smoke on our cooker than he can.
Well done and done, sir. So help us out. Tell us how, for the folks that want to get behind, want to support you, how do they do it?
Yeah, so best place to go is to my website. It's adamfortexas.com, Adam, and it's FOR4Texas.com. At the very top, there's a link to contribute. You can scroll down to, and there's a form on the website. It's funny, Spencer, early on in this process, at this point in the race, you're just basically out there knocking on doors and meeting voters in the district and earning their support and raising money. And I was telling folks early on, I said, the only way I'm going to get this done is with my trucking family coming in. And I'll say they've really come in big for us, and I'm very appreciative and blessed to have so many great people out there in the industry. So yeah, financial contributions from anybody out there listening would be huge. This is about a $550,000 race. I didn't come from a lot of money. Every dollar I've made is a dollar I've earned. So, but we're stretching every dollar that we receive in contributions, running this like a business. But even more importantly, they can learn more about me through the website, and they're welcome to reach out to me. They can send me an email or give me a call, shoot me a text. You could probably put in your podcast, I give you my cell phone number, my email. Anybody's welcome to reach out. I'm here to serve not only House District 122 and the state of Texas, but also our industry as well.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know that you are hustling across the state right now, doing your thing. I really appreciate you taking time to share with our listeners. Go support Adam for Texas, guys. That's going to do it for us in the hot seat, Adam, and for everybody else. We'll see you next time.